Hi, this is Wes Fryer with iPadMediaCamp.com. It is February the 14th, 2012, and in this narrated slideshow and screencast, I'd like to answer about 15 frequently asked questions that participants in our July 2012 iPad Media Camp had. And you can access these frequently asked questions, which will continue to grow, along with other resources by going to iPadMediaCamp.com and clicking the link at the top of the page that you'll see for curriculum. And that'll take you to our curriculum wiki. The first question that was asked regards AirPlay, and AirPlay is a wonderful part of the technology built into the iPad 2 and the iPad New, which allows you to be wirelessly mirroring your iPad screen up on a projector or a flat screen television. And the question is, can you AirPlay to more than one device at a time? Ooh, and now that I read that question, I think I've kind of answered it wrong. What I've put on the slide is a screenshot showing you that you can AirPlay two different screens. So this is screen 1 and this is screen 2. And I'm using a program called Air Server. I addressed this in the frequently asked questions for June. There are three different ways, two different software programs, and then an Apple TV that you can use to actually mirror your computer. I guess the answer to this question in terms of more than one device would be if you wanted to send your iPad screen to two screens, you could do that, but you would just have to duplicate the monitor connection, the VGA or HDMI connection that your monitor is having, and so you'd need a video splitter to be able to do that. So you can have more than one up on the screen at a time, but usually you're going to want to select one and then it'll become full screen. I think it just shows a partial screen when you have more than one connected. But in order to send it to two different devices, you would have to have what's called a video splitter, and that would be something that wouldn't be iPad specific. It would just be computer and monitor specific, and it duplicates your video out signal and can send it to two different projectors or two different flat screen TVs. The next question is, how do you create a web address for each class to email their ShowMe shows? This is a channel that we've used for iPad Media Camp. This last picture looks a little bit scary. That is on the website ShowMe, and ShowMe.com is the website for the app ShowMe, and when you create an account there by signing up, then you can create a channel, and this one we've been using this summer is iPad Media Camp 1. You will need a new email address to create a new ShowMe account. And there is a trick that you can use if you have a Gmail account. The trick is shown in this blog post. You can Google "forget extra email addresses for Gmail" or something similar. The example here is if your email account is hello@gmail.com, then you are going to be able to add a plus, and so you could do hello plus 2012 and then leave the rest at gmail.com. What that's going to do is it's going to deliver email that are sent to that address to your same inbox. It's not creating a new Gmail account, but this address is going to function as a new email on sites that you register like ShowMe. And so that's a way, without creating another actual inbox and whole email account that you have to check, that you can create an address that you can use to register. And so teachers who are using Gmail accounts will sometimes do that so that they can create a separate channel, for instance, on the site ShowMe, that they could use for a different year or a different class. The next question is, we have smartboards in our classrooms and have a projector. Will this be compatible with Apple TV? Well, there's really not at this point any software that interacts with the smartboard software itself. So at this point, your smartboard or your Promethean board or whatever kind of interactive whiteboard you might have is really just used as a projector or a projection device when you are mirroring your iPad. You can't touch the smartboard or Promethean board and then have something change on your iPad, but you can be wireless just like you would be with another projector. It's just that it's really not using any of the features of the smartboard. So when you're thinking about purchases, you want to consider iPad use and if you're going to be using those, and whether or not you need the features of an interactive whiteboard. It may be that if you're going to be using a lot of iPads with your students, you don't need the features of an interactive whiteboard, but that's going to be dependent upon your own situation. So consider those different options and possibilities. The next question is, can you explain what Livebinder is? And I've brought up an outstanding Livebinder that Dean Mance, who is a educator and technology director in Kansas, has created about digital storytelling. I found this just by Googling digital storytelling Livebinder, and this pulled right up. Livebinder is a website that allows you to create different tabs. You can see here we're on the overview tab, and we can go to goals and objectives, copyright and fair use, and there are all these different tabs that we can click on, and then we'll see different resources down here below. And it is sort of like a tabbed browser. If you're using any modern browser now, you can create different tabs. You can see that I have those here at the top of my page, and I'm looking at a third tab. Well, that's what a Livebinder lets you do, except it's really a web page. So you'll sign up for Livebinder, and you can create a Livebinder, and then you can organize resources there on the Livebinder. In addition to creating these different tabs, you can see that here on the overview, Dean has created different things here that we can take a look at. So it's really a nice resource for being able to share information, and it's a way of presenting that information in a non-linear way so that folks can kind of browse and go to the parts that are of most interest to them. The next question is, can you answer questions about iBooks Author? I'm struggling with some of my pictures. Can you share information about the publishing process for ebooks? Well, just briefly, iBooks Author was announced in January of 2012. It's a free program that's Mac only, and it allows you to create interactive books only for the iPad. But these books can include a lot of other features that you can't currently do with a program like Apple's Pages, or to my knowledge, even a program like Adobe's InDesign. You'd really need to be working with an app developer to have a lot of the interactive features. So one of the issues that a participant in our iPad Media Camp was running into was some photos not showing up, but these were at the end of sections, and one of the recommendations that I had for her was to try to put those pictures in its own section and see if perhaps there is a memory or size limit to media that can be in a particular section of the book. I know that for the EPUB format, and EPUB is a format of ebooks that can play on multiple devices, there is a limit to the chapters and how much media content, the size of that content aggregate, or in some that can be in a particular chapter. So iBooks Author definitely has some great features. In order to publish, you don't have to register on the iBook store if you want to just give your book away. You can link your book on your website using a service like Dropbox or some other site that'll let you give a link to a downloadable file. If you want to register and actually sell and distribute your book on the iTunes store, you have to register as a developer with Apple and pay $100, and then you'll get an account that you'll be able to download software, and through that software on your Mac, you can't do this through a Windows computer, you'll be able to upload your content. You'll also need your employer identification number and your bank account number, and that process takes a few weeks usually to get registered, and then there's an approval process where they'll review your book before it appears for others to be able to download and purchase, or download for free, depending on your choice. This next question is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's from a serious situation. It says, which app provides the miracle cure needed for tech administrators who revoke all computer privileges for a student who leaves a Justin Bieber sucks message on the computer? Well, really, the answer to a lot of the IT difficulties that beset us in school districts is a visionary and wise school superintendent. And I've grabbed a picture of a school superintendent here on Flickr. There is not obviously a single cure-all for vision of, for computing and learning in schools. I would recommend to you a book that I helped contribute a chapter to in 2011 called What School Leaders Need to Know About Digital Technologies and Social Media. You can find that on Amazon or by Googling for it, or if you go to my blog, Speed of Creativity, and click eBooks under Publications, you can find it as well. We really need visionary superintendents and principals, I think, to get to hang out and spend time with other principals and superintendents because we rub off on each other when we hang out together. And that's the formula that Apple definitely continues to use in what they call their Apple Executive Leadership Retreats. And I think finding ways for your school leaders to be able to attend events where administrators are talking about how they address IT issues, how they don't allow the IT department to set policy independent of the rest of the learning goals of the school district. It's really important that our school leaders model the use of technology, understand the use of technology, but most importantly, put it in its place and understand that technology is a tool and it is, really the servant and should be the servant of instruction and learning. And so while we need to have some restrictions and we need to pay attention to security, we definitely don't need to lock everything down just to make life really easy for the IT department. Our purpose in school is education and learning. It's not having a ticket-free help desk, at school. And if your help desk at school, if you don't have one, that's a problem. If they don't get any tickets, most weeks, that's a problem. And it could mean that things are so locked down that people can't do anything. So not a single solution to this, but those are a couple ideas. And if you're interested in a workshop related to this, I do share a number of workshops about, leadership, vision, and becoming school leaders with vision for 21st century learning. And you could certainly contact me and I'd be happy to visit with you about possibilities of sharing a presentation like that in your area. The next question is, would you recommend an iPad over a laptop for a 12-year-old? I found this website when I Googled this question, iPad versus laptop. You can't do everything on an iPad that you can do on a laptop, but the reverse is also true. There are things now that we can do on the iPad much more quickly and readily than we can do on a laptop. I'm using the iPad app Explain Everything to create this narrated slideshow, and I couldn't do this and publish it to YouTube nearly as fast if I was just using my laptop. So for a 12-year-old, I'm still going to go laptop at this point. There's just more that you can do. For instance, the program Scratch that I'll talk about here in a minute. You can't run it on an iPad. There are Flash animations and different websites that are not iPad compatible still. So I really look still at the iPad as a supplementary tool. It is a wonderful tool for getting content and consuming it, and there are a lot of ways that you can publish it. And it is possible to use it as your only device. But if you truly have a choice between one or the other, I would go with a laptop. And I'm personally now in love with flash drive only laptops. Apple calls these the MacBook Airs. These are called Ultrabooks in the Windows environment, the Windows world. And these just don't have CD-ROM drives, DVD-ROM drives, or hard drives that spin. And it means they're extremely light, they are a lot faster, and they're also more durable when it comes to damage, because optical drives are oftentimes the first thing to go out on a laptop besides the screen if the laptop gets dropped. So I would go laptop if you can. Next question is, would you consider a review session in August of 2012 for iPad Media Campers? And I certainly would consider a session like that. I'll take a look at my schedule and see what we can do. Hosted and facilitated 2 different iPad Media Camps this summer, one in June and one in July. And if you go to iPadMediaCamp.com and you click the link at the top of the page that says register, that's where I am listing the different sessions that I'm offering for iPad Media Camp, and I'll definitely look at my calendar and see if that is possible. I'll also poll our participants to see if they're interested in doing that and when that might best be done. Next question has to do with restrictions on image searching in Google. And I'm going to offer 2 different suggestions in this regard. The specific question is, what procedures can or should be in place to alleviate images that get around safe searches using the iPad to search Google? Well, if a student wants to get around your search filter, they're probably going to be able to do it. But that being said, it still makes sense, and we are under obligations in school because of E-rate to have some restrictions. This first thing doesn't have to do with a network setting. It's an iPad setting. And when you go into your advanced settings for the iPad on Google Images. So visit Google Images and in the corner click on the gear, you can get to your search settings. And by default this is set to moderate searching. Well, you can slide that little slider over here to the right and select strict searching, And then you can also click this button that says Lock Safe Search. And so that is going to require every time you do an image search on that iPad, it's going to be using the strict searching filter, and that's something that Google provides. It's not something you have to buy or configure on your network. You just have to change that on your iPad. The next suggestion is to use a robust filter solution for your school district that is going to allow you to address image searching issues as well as other things, like it'll let you use the YouTube for schools. It'll let teachers bypass the filter at times when teachers need to. And the best filtering solution that I've been seeing lately and that we're using in Yukon Public Schools, where I'm working on a contract again this year, is Lightspeed Systems, which is just lightspeedsystems.com. So check out the different options for your filter. Don't consider yourself locked in to, there's no way we can change our filter, because just like anything else in technology, there's a lot of things that are changing. And if your filtering solution is not providing the options that your teachers need, you need to change your filter. And Lightspeed is definitely an awesome one that I would encourage you to check out. At a very bare minimum, if you cannot bypass the filter as a teacher, or if your teachers don't have this opportunity to bypass the filter, you need to change filtering solutions and find one that does, because it's critical that we empower teachers. And one of the main ways teachers are disempowered when it comes to technology in schools today is with an overly draconian content filter that doesn't allow a bypass when teachers need to get to a website or want to get to a website for an instructional and educational purpose. The next question is, how or what do you think the future is of game-based learning in education, and how will it meet standards of Common Core? Do you have any suggestions for things to use to allow students to create their own games? I think that game-based learning is wonderful, and there are all kinds of possibilities, and one of the most basic ways we need to get kids involved in game-based learning is by creating their own games. So there are 2 free programs that I'll recommend to you. The first one is called Scratch. This next week in Edmond, Oklahoma, I'll be leading a week-long Scratch camp for students that are entering grades 3 through 8, and they're going to be learning how to create games, animations, simulations, stories, different things in Scratch. There are over 2.5 million projects now on the Scratch website. This is not software you can run on an iPad. You're going to have to do this on a laptop or desktop computer. But it is a great way to get students involved in game-based learning. The second software program I'll recommend is also free, and it's called GameSalad. GameSalad, again, doesn't run on your iPad or your Android device, but it does allow you to create games that port or are playable on both iOS devices, that's iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch, and Android. And this is an amazing program. And can you learn GameSalad? Can your students learn it? Yes, you can. One of the websites that will help you learn GameSalad I have loaded here in this screenshot, and it's cookbook.gamesalad.com. And there are a variety of different tutorials that you can watch. I hope in the coming year to be learning how to use GameSalad and to be offering some workshops here in Central Oklahoma and elsewhere on how to use GameSalad to create games and how to publish those. But that's definitely a way to get your kids involved in game-based learning, and we need to help students create games and be creative. And how exciting to be able to put those games on a mobile device and even have a chance to sell those if you would want to do that. The last question involves the PhotoSync application, and PhotoSync is not a free app, but it is the best app I have found and used so far to be able to send not only pictures but also videos in between devices. And so PhotoSync lets you select photos and images you want to send and then choose where they go, whether you send those to a computer, which needs to run a free program you download for PhotoSync, Windows or Mac. You need to be on the same wireless network to do this, but it just has to be open. You can also send it to another iPhone, iPod, or iPad. And then there are other targets that you can send it to, like Dropbox, Flickr, Picasa. The question was, how do we scroll to access more photos in PhotoSync? And the answer is you should just be able to scroll down within your photo roll. You can go into the different albums that are on your iOS device as well as the photo roll to do that, and then you're going to be clicking this red button in the corner in order to sync. So I hope this has been a helpful narrated slideshow. I wish you the best of luck, and again encourage you to visit iPadMediaCamp.com for additional information. When you click the curriculum link, you can see all of the things and the wonderful, hopefully, projects and information that we're sharing in iPad Media Camps. Whether or not you can attend in person, I hope these resources help you learn and also help you facilitate media projects with your students in your classroom.